hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
The Atlanta Falcons. They do a lot of things people are impressed with. They lead the NFL in time of possession. They're first in rush defense. Man. They have the most 10-play drives in the NFL. That is impressive. You make my top 10. But you also lost to the Saints and should have lost to the Redskins. In the end, you can have all the stats in the world. I don't think this team defensively is explosive enough, and I think they'll ultimately be limited to some degree on offense. I just don't like their roster as much as I like other teams in my top 10.
Number 9.
Indianapolis. This is mostly on Andrew Luck and the performance against the Patriots. Now, first of all, their defense, they've allowed 32 plays of 20-plus yards. That's the most in the NFL. That is a ton. And they're 0-3 outside of their division. But they've got Andrew Luck. It's a lousy division. They're going to make the playoffs, so I have Indy at 9.
Number 8.
Denver. Listen, I'm not trying to be critical of Peyton Manning, but he leads the NFL with 10 picks, and he's last in passer rating. Okay, this team right now has a liability at quarterback, and he made some good throws late against Cleveland. And I know their defense is good, but it's 2015. The quarterback can't lead the NFL in picks and be last in passer rating. I know they're undefeated, but they could have lost that game against Cleveland as easily as they could have won it. Oh, wait, I could say that for every game for Denver this year. I've got them at 8.
Number 7.
I like St. Louis. I think they're limited at quarterback. But Todd Gurley, 305 rushing yards in his first 2 starts. And here's something we've all known about St. Louis for the last 3 or 4 years. Their front 7 is filthy. They can get after it. They make it uncomfortable. If they could kick a field goal, Green Bay would have been in real trouble at Lambeau. The Rams are a limited team, but what they do, run the football and rush the passer, they do extraordinarily well.
Number 6.
I'm cooling off on Green Bay. I really am cooling off on Green Bay. Okay, their first 3 games, 32 points a game. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed, they're the only team in the league that doesn't have to play road games. Their last 3 games at home against so-so teams, they've averaged 22 a game. I don't think their offensive line's very good. Despite having Aaron Rodgers, despite playing all their games at home, despite playing average teams, they're averaging 22 at home. I don't think their personnel's great. I like their coach, and I like their quarterback, and I like their GM, but I watch that team. How many explosive next-level players do they have? Green Bay at 6.
Number 5.
Listen, I know Arizona's lost a couple of games, but this is what I really like about Arizona. They're very good at home, and they're first in the NFL in yards per play. Okay, that's a big deal. They're the opposite of the Indianapolis Colts, who give up the most big plays. That's a bad sign. That will come back to haunt the Colts. Arizona is never out of games because they average the most per play of anybody in the league. I have them at 5.
Number 4.
You know what I like about Carolina? I know they're limited, but A, they run the ball and very few penalties. And they're just the 3rd team to win in Seattle since 2012. Cam's having to do too much, but they don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't turn over a lot. They don't have very many penalties. You can't run on them, and they run pretty well. You can go a long way in this league. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. You can go a long way in this league doing it the way Carolina's doing it. I have them at 4.
Number 3.
I think the most underrated team in this league is the New York Jets. They're absolutely playing with a purpose. First of all, their defense is the best in the league. It's first in scoring defense, first in total defense. That is the best defense in this league. And in their division, Buffalo doesn't have a quarterback. Miami's is okay. You look at their schedule, that defense is going to clamp down on most of the quarterbacks they play. And Chris Ivory is unbelievable. Chris Ivory is the most underrated player in this league offensively. And the only game they lost, he didn't play. And here's another thing. Remember when Rex Ryan was the Jets coach? A lot of penalties. Todd Bowles is the coach. I don't know how many penalties. They don't beat themselves. They know what they are. They know what they're not. That team, they're a little bit like the Michigan of pro football. They're limited at quarterback, and they know it, and they don't put it on his shoulders. The Jets are a real football team, and I think they're going to give New England this week a real game in New England.
Number 2.
Cincinnati. Listen, I don't like Andy Dalton as much as you like Andy Dalton, but they lead the NFL in plus 20-yard passes. I think a lot of that's the skill people. I think their receiving core is the best in the league. I think their tight ends are probably the best in the league, and I think their running backs are probably the best in the league, and I think their offensive line is the best in the league. They're very explosive offensively. Whether I like Andy Dalton or not, they have more 20-plus yard plays than anybody in the NFL, and they're second in yards per play. So, if I like Arizona, I got to like them, and I just like their defense better than Arizona. So, Cincinnati, number 2.
Number 1.
New England. They're just great. I mean, what do you say? They're the smartest, most efficient team in the league with the best coach and right now the best quarterback. I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers. Right now, Tom Brady is playing like the best quarterback in the league. They're first in points a game. They don't turn the ball over. They don't get penalized. They lead the NFL in third down conversions. It's not close right now. They are playing at a completely different level than the rest of the league. I don't think their defense is as good as their statistical numbers. I think a lot of that's been, they've gotten some kind of really below average quarterbacks, but New England's the number 1 team in my herd hierarchy.